bridge hangs 310 meters above a canyon most helicopters won't fly into. Its 332-meter tower is the tallest concrete bridge tower on Earth, built for one impossible final move. One measurement off by centimeters, and this whole structure fails. This is the moment engineers call the point of no return. So how do you connect two halves of a bridge in mid-air over a canyon this deep? Back to day one. Almost 4 years ago, there was nothing here but rock and river. Karst limestone here hides sinkholes and underground rivers. The enemy was already beneath their feet. Every tower needed a foundation strong enough to hold a 332-meter concrete giant, sunk into unmapped rock. Once the shafts were ready, there was no going back. Non-stop pours. Once concrete starts, it cannot stop. From here, the tower had only one direction left to go, up. This tower was already taller than a 20-story building, and not even a third of the way up. Engineers used a technique called slipform, formwork that climbs itself, section by section. No scaffolding reaches this high, so the crew simply climb up the tower. 600 meters away, a second tower broke ground, a race against the same clock. Week by week, pour by pour, the canyon started to feel a little smaller. But height came with a price. At this altitude, wind alone could shut down the entire site. When it passed, work picked up exactly where it left off. Eventually, both towers neared their full height, but height, it turned out, was never the hard part. First, the climbing formwork came down, section by section, revealing the clean concrete beneath. Then came the anchors, dozens of them, each built to carry a single cable holding thousands of tons. The first beam extended outward. Nothing supported it but the tower behind it. Every beam added from here had to be mirrored on both sides, or the tower itself could tip. Engineers checked and checked again. A tenth of a degree here becomes meters of error a kilometer out. Two towers, two half-bridges, still separated by hundreds of meters of empty canyon. Every morning began the same way, a new segment cast off site, carried in piece by piece. It was aligned, checked, and temporarily welded before anything else could happen. Symmetry wasn't a design choice here. It was the only thing keeping the tower standing. And before the crew moved on, a sensor confirmed what their eyes couldn't. The deflection was still within limits. Longer than a football field now, hanging in open air, held up by cable alone. Then the wind came. At this height, it didn't just slow the work, it threatened to undo it. When it finally passed, the crew went right back to where they'd stopped. Segment after segment, the gap between the two halves kept shrinking, and so did the room for error. Every joint had to be welded by hand, layer after layer. And every weld had to be tested before anyone would trust it with a bridge. Another cable pair, another segment. The cantilever kept reaching further into the canyon. By now, what was left between the two half-bridges could fit inside a single city block. Before anyone dared lift the final piece, survey teams verified everything, down to the millimeter. Waiting in the staging yard was the piece built to end all of this, the closure segment. Rigging crews attached the lifting beams, checking every connection twice. Then came the final check. This would be one lift. There would be no second chances. The crane began to lift. And slowly, the piece that would close the canyon started moving toward the gap. Tag lines held it steady, keeping it from turning as it approached. Nearly 4 years of work had narrowed down to this single gap. No margin left. This piece had to fit perfectly, or the whole sequence would stop. Contact. For the first time in 4 years, the two halves of this bridge were touching. The canyon had been closed. Off by only a few millimeters, well within tolerance. Now the temporary connection had to become permanent. One final adjustment, and the bridge found its true shape. With the structure complete, the scaffolding came down. The bridge now held itself. Then came the last layer, the road itself. Then came the last layer, the road itself. But before anyone would cross it, everything got checked one more time. Then came the real test, not for the builders this time, but for the bridge itself. If the design was wrong, this is where it would show. It held exactly as calculated. Nearly 4 years of work, one final walk before it belonged to everyone else. This is what nearly 4 years and one impossible lift can build. No sinkhole, no storm, no margin of error stopped it. A bridge connecting two halves of a canyon, and, for a moment, an impossible problem too. So, which part do you think was the hardest? The towers, the closure, or the wind?